up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be creating 3 looks with 3 C Beauty palettes. Now, these are not new releases from these brands. These are older palettes from brands that I have already come to know and love, and they just kind of caught my eye when I was scrolling through the Look Healthy store. So I thought it would be fun to pick them up, create a look, and kind of compare the formula and see if it's the same formula that I already know and love or if it has changed over time. Now, I will have all 3 of these palettes linked and listed down below the description box, as well as everything else that I use in today's video to complete my looks. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at the palettes that we're going to be playing with today. From Qianyan or Cheery Up, we have the Monologue palette. This is a 16 pan palette. It does retail for $37.99, and I think the color story in here is beautiful. It is very neutral, especially with these neutral browns over here, but you do have this more green leaning side over here with a little bit of coolness, a little bit of warmth. I really like the variety in this one, and I think it is absolutely beautiful. From Shellwe Makeup, we have the Elaina palette. This one retails for $55.99. It is a 10 pan palette, and I really like the color story in this one as well. It is very neutral leaning. We do have our pops of greens over here, a little bit of warmth in the neutrals, but this really pretty purple multi-chrome over here I think is absolutely stunning, and that's what really caught my eye with this one. And also from Shellwe Makeup, we have the Wulfa palette. Now, this is a 5 pan palette. This one retails for $41.99, and I thought the color story in here was very interesting. We do have 2 matte shades and 3 shimmers. This one over here looks absolutely beautiful. I'm loving the warmth that this palette brings. It is definitely giving me all the fall vibes. Okay, y'all, let's go ahead and kick this off with the Monologue palette from Qianyan. Now, I think for this one, I really want to stick to this green section over here. We've got some neutrals over here as well, which could make a beautiful look. But since we're only doing one, we're going to play with the greens. So for this look, I'm going to go ahead and start with this one down here. It's like this really pretty mint green that has a little bit of sparkle to it. And I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a BK Beauty 201 brush. And I'm just going to start by pressing this into my crease, building up the pigmentation that I want, and then once I have that shade down, I can go back and start to blend it out, soften in the edges, and just kind of blow this shade out a little bit. That is very pretty. It is very soft in pigmentation, but let's see how it builds up. Now, from my experience with Qianyan, their shades are very pigmented, but some of the lighter ones can be a little bit more on the buildable side, and that's definitely what I'm getting with this palette so far. Alright, so next I'm going to move on to the shade right above the one that we just went in with, and I'm going to pick that up with my same BK Beauty 201 brush that I just used. I wiped it off really well, and I'm going to start to kind of build up this crease a little bit more, but I'm going to focus it more on the outer half. I'm not going to quite bring this over to the outer corner though. It might get a little bit in there, but that's okay. But I really want to kind of focus this more so in the crease, building up a little bit of a gradient, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to bring this onto the lower lash line as well, and I'm going to take it all the way across. For the outer corner, I'm going to go into this dark grungy green shade right here. I think it's the darkest shade in the palette, so we're not going to get a whole lot of depth with this one. You can bring in something from another palette, but whenever I do these videos, I always like to focus on what you can do with the palette itself. But personally, I would bring in a black to kind of deepen this up. But we are going to go into that shade with a Singe Beauty EOS 6 brush. And like I said, I'm going to put this in my outer corner, building up the depth, the definition, kind of bringing this about 1/4 of the way over, so not too far in, but I'm not really focusing it on the very outer edge either. I'm just kind of packing that shade on here, and once I have it where I want it, once again I can go in and start to make sure that everything is nice and blended. We don't have any harsh edges or lines or anything like that, and we just have a nice seamless look. Alright, so before we put shimmer all over the lid, I wanted to point out something that I've never had happen before personally. So I went ahead and put my NYX glitter primer all over my lid like I usually do, just bumping it over to the matte shade on my outer corner. And when I did, it sort of deepened and lifted that shade just a little bit. I've never had that happen before, but I wanted to point that out because my outer corner did not look like that before I went in with this. So it's not the performance of the matte shade as to why it looks like that on the outer corner. corner. It's whatever is in this that kind of mixed with that shadow and did something weird. So I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I've never had that happen before, but we are going to fix it with some shimmer. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do this. So I think what I want to do is I want to go in with this shade right here all over my lid, and I want to put this one on the inner corner, like this really pretty pop of mint green, a little bit of coolness in there. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this one right here, and I am going to pick that up with my BK Beauty 203 brush, and per usual I'm going to spray it with my MAC Fix Plus, and we're going to put this all over the lid, and then we're going to use something a little bit deeper on that outer corner to kind of fix the situation. So like I said, I don't know what's going on there, but we're gonna fix it. So I'm going ahead and I am just patting the shade all over my lid, and then once I have it down, I can go back and start to blend it out a little bit more and just kind of soften the edges and make sure that we have a nice seamless look. All right, to fix this outer corner, we're gonna go into this deep green satin shimmer shade over here, and I'm gonna pick that up with the same brush, and I am gonna spray it again, and we're gonna put this on the outer corner. So I don't prefer anything with like a satin or a shimmer finish in my outer corner, but we need to fix whatever this mess is going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and just press it out here in the outer corner, and then I'm gonna kind of blend it into that shimmer shade that I put all over my lid. And if I need to go back with a little bit more of that green shimmer that I put on my lid, I absolutely can, but that is 100% fixing the situation. All right, so crisis averted for the most part. I'm not the biggest fan of that green satin shade on the outer corner, but it's better than what we had going on. But let's go ahead and move on to the inner corner. So like I said, I want to play with this shade right here for the inner corner. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush. I am going to spray it, and we're just going to pop this into the inner corner, and then we can finish off this look. All right. That's a really pretty shade. It has a good reflection to it. It looks beautiful. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look with this palette, and given everything I had to go through to get to this point, I think it came out really pretty in the end. I like the shimmer. I like that pop of like that icy mint green on the inner corner. I think it looks absolutely beautiful, and in the end, I did end up getting a lot of depth in my outer corner. Now, I do have some fallout going on out here. I tried to fix it the best I could, and I got that when I was trying to manipulate that deep green satin shade to kind of rectify whatever that situation was I had going on my lid. Like I said, I've never experienced that before. So I will keep playing around with this and kind of see if I can figure out what was going on. Maybe it does come down to the formula, but for this first impression, we're gonna put that aside and just go based off of everything else. So everything up until that point went really nice with this palette. I thought the formula in here as far as the mattes goes was beautiful. It was exactly what I expected from the brand. They were nice and pigmented, very easy to blend out. I was actually not getting any fallout up until that point with that satin shade, which was this one over here, and I didn't get any patching or skipping either. The shimmers in here are very pretty as well, but I will say I do think that their shimmer formula has gotten better as they have done more palettes. I had one of y'all tell me in a previous video that this was one of their first palettes, if not their first palette, and while it is very pretty, I do like the formula in here. Like I said, I think their shimmers have improved. These aren't bad in any way, but if you've played with their newer ones, they're just a step better. But overall, I think this is a very pretty color story. I like how we have the neutrals over here, we have the greens over here. I think it is very well curated. I will say I do wish that maybe this brown shade over here had been even deeper, like almost a blackened brown shade, just so you can get a little bit more depth. But if this is your color story, if you're going for something that's got like a really good neutral vibe with some pops of greens, I think this is a really good palette, and I do really enjoy it. But let me tell you what I used to finish off this look so we can turn down the light, see the shimmer, the sparkle, and move on to our next looks with these palettes. Sorry, I'm getting flustered because that whole thing really threw me off in the outer corner. Okay, so in my lower waterline, I went in with a Give liner. This is in the shade Greener Pastures. I lined my lid with my ZC liquid liner and then finished everything off with my Huda Beauty One Coat Wow mascara. All right, so moving on to the Elaina palette. For this look, I think I want to do something a little bit more neutral, especially since we just did a green look with the Qianyan palette. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade up here. It's almost like a khaki colored shade. It has just the tiniest bit of like green undertone to it, but it's also the lightest shade in the palette. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO3 brush, and I'm going to start by fluffing this in to the crease of my lid, just building up a little something in here to kind of build the rest of the look off of. And then we'll go ahead and start deepening up the outer corner and doing our shimmers on the lid. That is really pretty, actually. It does have a little bit of a murkiness to it, but I'm not mad about it. All right, so I'm going to bring that down onto my lower lash line as well, just kind of wrapping that shade around my entire eye, but I'm going to avoid the inner corner. So I'm just fluffing it down here, same brush, nothing crazy. All right, so next I'm going to go into this shade right here. It's just a little bit deeper than the first one that we used, and I'm going to pick that up with a Sigma E28 brush, and I'm going to start to kind of pack this into my outer corner and kind of blend it up into the crease, kind of bringing it about halfway over and just starting to create that shape and that depth that I want on the outer corner. I'm also going to bring this down onto my lower lash line as well. I'm not going to bring it all the way across. I'm just going to line it up with what's going on my lid. And next, to deepen up the outer corner, I'm going to go in with this warmer deep brown shade over here in the bottom corner. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with a Singe Beauty EO2 brush. And like I said, I'm just going to start to build up my outer corner just a little bit. I want the tiniest bit of depth out here. I might bring it over a little bit further than I normally do, just so I can get a good pop of warmth out here. But I don't want it to take over the look. I don't want it to be the focal point. And I'm also going to bring this down onto the lower lash line as well. All right, so for all over the lid, I was originally going to go in with this really pretty like murky gold shade down here, but I think I want to play with this purple one over here and just bring a little pop of color to this look, and then maybe we'll go in with this one right here for the inner corner. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this one down here. I'm going to pick that up with my BK Beauty 203 brush, and I'm going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus, and we're going to put this all over the lid and just kind of blend it out, but I'm going to avoid the inner corner. So there it is picked up on my brush. We're going to spray it. And I'm going to start by pressing this on the lid, and then once I have the shade where I want it, I can go back and start to blend it. But look at how beautiful that is. Look at the reflection. It's got this beautiful blue flip to it. This is really pretty, and I'm glad I went with this one. Okay, so before we go into the inner corner, I do want to pick up a little bit of this shade right here and just put it where the matte and the shimmer meets, just so I can get a little bit of a better blend. So I'm going to go in with my same BK Beauty 203 brush that I've been using. I'm going to pick that shade up once again, spray it with some MAC Fix Plus, and I'm just going to very lightly pop it right here to take away that harshness. I don't want to bring it very far over because I don't want this to take over the look. I just want it to be a blending shade. So now we can go into this really pretty almost silver shade right here for the inner corner. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my Singe Beauty EO1. I am going to spray it, and we're going to pop this into my inner corner and finish up this look. That's really pretty. I like that. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look, and I do think this turned out really pretty. I'm loving the neutral crease with that pop of color on the lid. That multi-chrome is so pretty. I'm loving that purple to blue to pink shift that it has going on. It didn't emphasize any texture, and it's just very reflective on the lid. But let me give you my first impression on this palette. So packaging, 10 out of 10 as always. The artwork is beautiful. Shellwe always has beautiful artwork on their palettes, and I think the color story in here is really nice. It is very neutral. You do have these couple of greens over here and this pop of like purple, pink to blue multi-chrome down here, which I think is a great addition to this palette. But with that being said, I wish it had been curated just a little bit better. These two shades right here are very close. They are the same tonal value, but this one has a little bit more warmth and this one is a little bit more on the neutral side. I wish maybe this one had been a little bit deeper, or maybe we had lightened this one up just a little bit to give more variety. But as far as the formula in here goes with the mattes, they're fantastic. They're exactly what I have come to know and love from the brand. They are buildable in pigmentation. pigmentation. I didn't get any patching, skipping, or fallout, and they blended out beautifully. The shimmers in here though are where my issue lies. So these two right here are very creamy, very reflective. They look beautiful. They pick up really nicely. I only picked this one up with my finger to kind of feel how it, what the formula was like, and it was really nice. This one down here is a little bit more of like a metallic, but it's still creamy. It's still picked up really nice as well. My qualm is with these two shades right here. They're very dry and very gritty, almost like a pressed glitter. And whenever I put them on the lid, I got a lot of fallout down here. They're not emphasizing texture. They don't feel heavy or uncomfortable. It's just not something that I prefer in a palette. So for that reason, this just isn't going to be my favorite one from the brand. So it is very pretty. I will get some use out of it. More than likely, I'll reach into it for this shade right here. And I definitely want to play with this one up here, but it's just not a favorite. I feel like they have other ones that just have a better curated color story and better shimmer formulas overall. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can turn down the light, see the shimmer, the shift, the sparkle, and then move on to our final look with these three palettes. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Give liner. This is in the shade Greener Pastures. I lined my lid with my ZC liquid liner, and then of course finished everything off with my Huda Beauty One Coat Wow mascara. Alright, so last but not least, we get to create our look with the Wulfa palette. Now, there's not a whole lot of variety in here with matte, so I'm just going to do something very basic. I'm going to put this one right here in the crease, this one in the outer corner, and then we're going to play with these three shimmers. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this really pretty matte mustard yellow shade right here. These do not have shade names, as any of their palettes don't, but I am going to go ahead and pick that up with a Morphe M504 brush, and I'm going to start to kind of fluff this into my crease, kind of bring it over to my outer corner, just kind of everywhere. I'm not going to bring it into my inner corner, and I'm not going to bring it onto the lower lash line as well. I'm kind of thinking maybe we can go in with the orange shimmer shade for down there, but I just want to start out with this shade. That is so pretty. It almost matches my top perfectly, but I love the pigmentation. I'm not getting any patching, skipping, fallout, or anything. Alright, so I changed my mind. I am going to bring that shade down onto my lower lash line. I'm still going to go back in with that orange shimmer shade down there, but I just want to start out with this. So I've got a little something to kind of anchor it, and I've got kind of a blown out moment going on down there. Alright, so next we're going to go into this deep plum shade over here. I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my BK Beauty 206 brush, and we're going to put this in my outer corner. So I'm going to start by picking up the shade and kind of pressing it into my outer corner. I don't want to bring it too far over. I'm going to bring it over about 1/3 of the way, and once I have that shade down where I want it, as usual, I can go back and start to blend and fluff and soften out those edges. Alright, before we do the shimmer on the lid, I want to go into this orange shimmer shade down here and put it on my lower lash line. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this up with my BK Beauty 207 brush. I'm just going to swirl it in there really good, coat the brush nicely, and then once I have that shade picked up, I can spray it with my MAC Fix Plus, and I am going to kind of like pat and wiggle down here. So I'm not like really blending it down here, but I'm also not just pressing it along the lower lash line. I'm kind of going in with back and forth motions and just really going along the entirety of this lower lash line. Now we're going to ignore this outer corner over here. As you can see, my eye is really starting to water. I'll go back and fix that at the end, but for now we're just going to kind of let it do its thing so I don't make a bigger mess than what I already have going on over there. Alright, so I went ahead and primed my eyes with my NYX Glitter Primer per usual, and we're going to start out with this really pretty multi-chrome shade over here. It has the most beautiful like green to blue to purple flip to it. I'm going to pick that up with, where did I put it? My BK Beauty 203 brush, and I am going to spray it, and we're going to put this all over the lid, and I'm even going to bring it over to the inner corner as well. And then I think we're going to go back with that darker shimmer and maybe put it where the matte and the shimmer shades meet, just so we have a nice blend. Oh my gosh, that is incredibly beautiful. It almost has a translucent base to it, like it's not super opaque, and it's just adding the most beautiful shine to my lid. So next we're gonna go into this deeper multi-chrome shade right here that has like this purple to green flip to it as well, but it's definitely more on the deeper and murkier side. And I'm actually gonna pick this one up with my finger instead of a brush, and I'm just gonna press it right here with a matte and that first multi-chrome that I put down meet, just to kind of blend everything together, get rid of that harsh line. And then once I have that shade down, I can go back with a clean finger and kind of manipulate and blend a little bit better. Alright y'all, so this is the completed look with this palette, and I think this turned out absolutely beautiful. I'm loving the fall vibe that this look is giving off, and that green shimmer all over the lid is incredibly beautiful. Now, based off of first impression, I really like this palette. It's my favorite out of the three that we played with today. I think the color story is cute. I love the packaging with the little foxes on the front, and I love the well curation of this 5PM palette. Now, we do only have 2 mattes in here, but you can definitely get several cohesive looks by changing up the shimmers in this palette. You can 100% bring in other things. You can pop these out, move them around if you have other palettes from Shellwe, because they are magnetic, but I like the color story as is in this one. The mattes performed beautifully. I didn't have any issues as far as patching, skipping, or fallout. I felt like these were a little bit more pigmented than what I'm used to, but not in a bad way. They were still very easy to work with, and the 3 shimmers in here I thought were beautiful as well. This one over here that's all over my lid is so insanely reflective and beautiful, and it has that little bit of a translucent base to it. Like I said, it would make a beautiful topper on top of one of these 2 shades over here, and these were beautiful as well. Very reflective, very smooth. I didn't have any issues with fallout, emphasizing texture, or anything like that. None of them are textured or gritty or heavy on the lid, and I just think this is a beautiful palette. Now, to finish off this look, I did go in with a House Labs liner in my lower waterline. This is in the shade Sienna Matte, and then once again I lined my lid with my ZC liquid liner and finished everything off with my Huda Beauty One Coat Wow mascara. Alright y'all, so that is going to complete today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm actually going to go ahead and wash my face and get all this off because both of my eyes are watering now and these eye looks are breaking down before my very eyes. But let me know all of your thoughts down below. What did you think of this video? Which palette was your favorite? Which look was your favorite? I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me, and if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.